Welcome back to Growth and Innovation Unlocked. I am Scott Hurst, and today I'm delighted to have Bill Douglas, the CEO of OpticWise. OpticWise helps building owners modernize their digital infrastructure, transforming commercial real estate into true data powered smart assets. And further, OpticWise helps turn building data into building intelligence, helping you save money, deliver better services, and also build additional sources of revenue. So with that, Bill is, with his background, he showcases decades of driving results from leading tech-driven ventures to authoring peak property performance. Bill also emphasizes turning fragmented systems into strategic assets using proprietary Building of Things (BOT) framework. And Bill's focus on IoT, AI analytics, tenant experience, and boosting net operating income truly distinguishes OpticWise as a commercial real estate innovator. So, with that, Bill Douglas, welcome.
Thanks, Scott. That was quite the introduction.
Great. Could you share your
Yeah.
journey from early entrepreneurial ventures to leading OpticWise and how your vision evolved to reshape digital infrastructure in commercial real estate specifically?
My early entrepreneurial ventures were driven out of, I don't know, in my 20s, I was just eager to try things. I got bit by a coral snake, so it encouraged me to quit my corporate job and actually try things, to actually roll some of my own money into it and cover payroll and start a real company. So that all happened when I was about 27. So I haven't had a W-2 job since. So six companies later, because I tend to stay with companies and until they get to a certain level, and then I either step out or exit entirely. Not all of them work, by the way. I'm not here to say I do everything right. I've had my share of failures. School of hard knocks is good, but I spend a lot of my time looking for problems that could be solved with technology or automation. If I see a line when I'm driving around, I will actually stop and figure out what it's for. If I am trying to buy something and there's a long delivery time, I will wonder why. Is it demand, or is it bad supply, or is this an up and coming thing? If I ever hear somebody say, I wish I could buy, or I wish they made, or I wish I could get, I sit down and ask them to explain it to me. It doesn't matter if I know the industry or not. So that has led to some incredible opportunities, whether I'm active in those or passive in those, or just know a lot about them and introduce somebody that I know is. I enjoy that. So I learned at Georgia Tech how to think like an engineer, and that is to solve problems that may seem daunting, but you just take them apart one little piece at a time. And, take OpticWise. I've been here 9 years, and that's what we've done is listen to customers, solved a problem, applied technology. A lot of times the customer knows what they want, but they don't know they have a problem. So you're dealing with an unknown problem aware. Sometimes the customer might know they have a problem and don't know there's a solution. And some other times you come across a customer who's shopping solutions, who knows they have a problem and knows what it is. So you have to be able to talk to all three of those. But by talk to, I like to start with listening, which is ironic because I just gave you a 2-minute answer. So I've been
No,
babbling. But if I was with a customer, like we had a prospect call this morning, and I probably let them talk 80% of the time because they were telling me what their problem was. And can we solve it or not? I'm not sure, but the opportunity was handed to me because I was able to listen. So I listen, look for problems, and apply technology. I can't solve them all, but the ones I can turn into businesses.
yeah, well, that's great. That's great. Yeah, you've really highlighted how looking back on your LinkedIn and just learning little more about you. Uh, you focus on, you see a problem. I like that when you see a line and you're very interested. Okay, what's that line for? What is there a reason? Is it not efficient? Is there things that could do better? Right? You seem to be that type of individual, right?
I learned that from I got a master's degree from MIT, and one of the speakers was the man that took Boston Chicken public. It was the Entrepreneurial's master's program. And he was driving down the road in Boston and saw this line every single day. And finally he got in it, and he got in it on a Tuesday. And then by Saturday had his wife in line with him. And he went to this restaurant every 3 days and asked the guy at the counter, can I take you to dinner? Can I take you to dinner? Well, fast forward a year and a half, they had 3 stores and they went public. It was the
Mm.
largest franchise public, like it was over $1 billion.
Mm.
Like they didn't do it in 18 months. They started incorporating in 18 months. Within 5 years, the franchise was worth $1 billion. And
Well,
he,
that's
like, I learned that he saw a line and he didn't say, huh, look at those people. He went and got in it. He said, this must be good.
yeah,
And
yeah.
people are standing there in the snow to buy chicken.
Hmm.
So he talked those gentlemen into making 3 stores that was one. And then he took the 3 stores public on a franchise concept,
Oh, wow. That,
created $1 billion in enterprise value because he saw a line and a way to
mhm.
replicate it.
Well, that's fantastic. That's a wonderful story. Yeah, well, thank you. So then, as we talk about more OpticWise, what inspired you to pivot into commercial real estate technology and reinvent network infrastructure for offices and multifamily buildings?
Well, I exited my last company in 2015. And in between companies, I coach entrepreneurs. I have a Resilience Guy brand, and it's my way of giving back because if it wasn't for somebody coaching me when I was younger or naive, I would have never amounted to anything. Honestly, I needed guidance. We all do. So I was coaching a gentleman I knew from church, and he said, will you do a small gig with us? I need a go to market plan." And I delivered a go to market plan for OpticWise. What I liked about it was the software and the technology. I didn't like the market that they were in. They were in on-campus student housing. So I said, "Here you go." And he said, "I'm the technician. I can't do this. Do you want to do it?" I'm greatly compressing the story. And a couple months later, I said, "I'll do it, but we're going to shift the market and go to office and apartments and maybe a few other verticals, but we're going to go after portfolios that operate in diverse geographic markets and go after something." The sales process is the same whether the customer has one property or 1,000 properties. The sales process on the first one is long, right? It's arduous.
Mhm.
So why not do it somewhere you could scale? So we took the technology and scaled it out and just kept asking the questions to customers. What would make your life easier? What would make your life easier? Here's what we do. And then the first big implementation, the customer put it back on us and said, "I have 7 months or 5 months, something like that, till we get a certificate of occupancy on this new building. I love what you're doing. I'll pay you if you can do it by the time we go live." So he put the risk back on us and said, "I know exactly what it'll cost if you can do it. If you can't do it, the expense is on you." Very polite, very straightforward. And said, "I will sign a 5-year contract with you, assuming it goes live." So we bore all the risk. Actually had to write some software we didn't even know we were going to need in the time, and implemented the solution. And that customer, 8 years later, is still with us. So it's pretty phenomenal just by listening, and having
Yeah,
a
that
team
really
that
is.
could deliver.
Mhm.
I didn't deliver that. The team here did.
Right,
So,
right.
I mean,
Yeah, you.
there's incredible technicians, project managers, like customer service people, like the level 1 engineers that have to answer the calls in the middle of the night. They delivered that solution to the customer.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a great story. You co-authored Peak Property Performance in 2025, and how do the book's 5 strategic moves translate into your daily operating philosophy there at OpticWise?
Well, Scott, we actually took our daily operating philosophy and put it in the book. So the
Hmm.
book is a strategy playbook. We like sports analogies. So we tried to put you in the mindset of owning a sports franchise or being a professional athlete and making your business play akin to that. We took what we do here and put that in. So you can actually implement this within your own commercial real estate portfolio, this being your digital strategy or your data strategy or both. You could do it yourself. Like, we're giving how we do it away. Is it easy? No. Is it straightforward? Yes. Like, we give you how to audit. We give you how to connect. We give you how to collect, what you should start to do on control. We give you 55 ideas about what you could do with data and AI inside of your own organization once you have the data, right? But to have the data, you have to have the digital infrastructure control. So we gave it all away as a thought leadership piece because I believe rising tides raise all boats. If we just owned it ourselves, I mean, I really think we're onto something. Commercial real estate it's old. Technology wise, it's old. The buildings are awesome that are being built. They're modern. The apartments and the office buildings are great, but technology wise, they're lagging. Like, there are things that work in other industries like across the world in any continent, any market that commercial real estate hasn't adopted yet. So we're pulling those in and making those available to commercial real estate owners. Like, do you think that Amazon or Toyota or FedEx would let a vendor come in and put a network in their building and take data out? Never. But commercial real estate does it all day. So it's a basic concept of, do you look at digital as an asset, or is it a pain in the neck expense?
Hmm.
If we can shift it to an asset, then it should have a return, just like when commercial real estate owner invests in new carpet or new countertops or new glass or new signage or new landscaping or a new facade inside or digital signage. It should have a known return.
Yeah,
But most of the
that's
time it's
good.
not tracked. So we're trying to shift the paradigm. And in doing so, I pitched it to four publishers last year. When Fast Company said that they would publish it, we got several offers, but I was flattered because they speak right to the large audience. You know, the REITs and the large portfolio holders all follow that. So Fast Company they're just like any good publisher. They make you validate all the data. So
Right.
we created some fictional characters to tell true stories, and all the data has been validated by the publisher. So to protect the innocent, we had to make up some fictional characters, but the stories and the data in there are all true. So you can see the kind of returns you should expect.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
rather than making everybody get a sales pitch from OpticWise, we wrote the book. You can buy it anywhere: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Borders, whatever. I don't even know if Borders is around. You can buy it in airports. Just ask for it, or go online, or reach out to me and we'll have a discussion. I'd be happy to tell you about what we do. No obligation.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's a great tool for you to then to leverage and use, and then also help the market. You said a rising tide helps lifts all boats, and you are trying to give back, but in the also that can provide for you an opportunity to be able to have a discussion as well, right? So that's great.
Well, well, a lot of our perceived competition is around internet, and ISPs do their own thing, but ISPs don't do what we do. So we're just trying to say, you don't have to hand it over. Nobody got fired for hiring IBM. Like, I think that is
Mhm.
status quo bias in almost any industry. Oh, I know the big name. Let's just hire them.
Mhm.
Nothing wrong with the big name, but it is one piece of the puzzle. Like, because you hired a behemoth property manager or a behemoth ISP doesn't mean they can solve your problems. You still have to understand what you have and don't have, and then have a vision on where you're going. And then all of those vendors will fit in where they should fit in. But to think that you could just hand it off entirely is not accurate. And that's kind of where we are in the boat we are now.
I see. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Your building of things, BOT, which I'd never heard of that before, so I like that. With your building of things framework and IoT deployment, help optimize HVAC, lighting, security systems. How are you using real-time analytics and AI to enhance property operations and boost net operating income for your commercial real estate owners?
Well, everybody knows what IoT is. And one day, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago, I was talking to a client and I said, you have a building, right? You own the building. It's full of sensors generating data, systems generating data, devices generating data, and you own all of those, right? So you have a building and it's full of things. And he said, well, it's a building of things. I literally hung up the phone and registered the trademark that day. So
Hmm.
like, it's a registered mark, but it's a way for us to talk to the commercial real estate world about, this is your IoT, Mrs. Portfolio owner, right? Mr. Property Manager, this is your IoT. Like, use it like an asset, use it as an advantage. Like, all of this data is being generated. Are you capturing it? If you're not now, then capture it in the future. Like, no punishment, no harm, but know what you have and what you don't have. So the building of things is basically an approach to, like, there's data everywhere, there's sensors everywhere. What's of value to you? Let's start collecting that. And then after 6 months of collecting it, you can start doing predictive analytics. You could start running machine learning across it. So I'll just go with 5 or 6 disparate data source generators in a commercial real estate building. There's access controls, there's video controls, there's elevator controls, there's HVAC or building automation, building management. Depending on the size, those can or can't be the same thing. There's power quality, there's UPSs, then you have your low volt systems. Well, right now, those are all disparate data sources. You hire a vendor to run them, like you run your HVAC systems, and that might work really well. But imagine if you could pull data from weather and you could pull data from occupancy and triangulate across those and see if you could help any one of those three systems operate better by sharing the data that you actually own. Are those vendors going to share it with the other vendor? I don't know. But even if they did integrate, you don't have a copy of the data. It is
Mhm.
your data. Imagine when you go to trade the building, if you had a data set, a data lake, and said, here's my 6 month or 6 year operating history. You're taking all the question marks out of it for the buyer, lower the risk, increase the premium. We're seeing buildings trade for higher than their typical cap rate multiple
Hmm.
because they have the data. So, I mean, 23andMe sold, bankrupt 23andMe sold for $230 million because of the data. Like,
Yeah,
if you
right.
have, and I'm not talking about people's data, I'm just talking about
Mhm.
systems data.
Yeah, just
We
the
do
system
not,
data. Exactly.
we do not touch any personal
Yes.
information.
Right.
We will
Sure.
not touch any personal information. Like, we will not be swayed on that. We're big on privacy. And we keep the data to the client's data. Like, we don't give that away either. So we stay focused on the building of things strategy and just see how much that could help you either increase your tenant experience, uh, which includes, raising rents or increasing retention because turnover is expensive, or reducing operating expenses like insurance and utilities. Those are the big ones we hit first. All three of those hit the NOI
Yes. Right. Right. Absolutely.
significantly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the strategy: is who owns and controls your digital infrastructure, and where is your data? Do you have access to it? And
Well,
then
to that, yeah.
imagine if you did.
Mhm. Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, imagine if you did. What could you do with it?
Mhm.
That's the predictive part. Now, you can't go to the racetrack if you don't have a race car. So let's build your race car. That's all.
I
It's
like that.
your. You
Yeah.
have the parts. It's just not assembled.
Right. Right. Yeah, let's make it work. Yeah.
Yeah.
So along those lines, a little bit too, you bring digital infrastructure and commercial real estate must support scalability, tenant demands. How do you then architect, manage networks that adapt to those evolving needs, and then help monetize the data that they then generate? In other words, to then help the owners then make money off that data.
Off the data or the system itself, the network, because there's two different pieces of revenue
Okay,
there. On the
sure.
data side, it's most prevalently the optimization. So you're going to reduce OpEx.
Okay, mhm, sure.
If you have your data set, we could show you how your systems will operate more efficiently once you connect, collect the information, and coordinate and control those systems. Those are steps that we give away in the book. We explain all those
Mhm,
C's.
okay.
I'm
Mhm,
going kind of fast, but it's readily available for anybody. It's not proprietary. We're giving it away in the book. On the revenue side, take an office building, for instance. You're going to move in, you're a tenant moving into an office building. You're going to buy internet. You're going to invest in Wi-Fi. You might be hosting. You might need some managed services. You might need some telephone lines. Well, why not buy those from the landlord? Why
mhm.
isn't the landlord selling you all those? Why doesn't the landlord have a data center with the ability to provide you all of those things completely compliant, very secure, and under market? So we can save you money. We take out the middleman, we being the landlord, takes out the middleman and makes the money. So essentially, we bifurcate a supply chain. I have a supply chain patent, so I always go back to supply chain
Okay.
analogies. We bifurcate the supply chain and split it with the owner, but we reduce the cost for the tenants at the same time.
Hmm.
So the tenants can always go buy it somewhere else if they want to. You're just giving them a immediate, like the day they move in or the day they sign their lease, lower cost option. And most of the time, the tenants want that. So they're getting space as a service instead of just renting space.
Hmm. I like that. Yeah, space as
And
a service. Right, right,
their
right.
technology experience works anywhere on the property, not just in their suite. Same thing for apartments. The second they sign their lease, it's active. They just have less, an office tenant's going to want to buy more services than an apartment.
Right.
But it's very straightforward. You derive revenues from this, you have a cost of service against that, and you reduce expenses here, both of which get magnified on the bottom line. We
Oh, that's
believe in
great.
building one hardened digital infrastructure, which is an amalgamation of all the networks in a building. Why not make it resilient, remove single points of failure, and make every system in the building ride on top of it? It's going to reduce your CapEx. It's going to drastically reduce your OpEx. So that's what we mean by building a thing strategy too, is like, what backbone is this on? And do you own the backbone? There are some vendors that put in networks in a building and they won't let you use them, and it's your building.
Huh.
How
Wow.
absurd. I'm going to charge you for that to put it in, but I'm the only one that can use it until we're fired.
Oh,
And even
geez.
then, sometimes I'm going to own it. It's really absurd. Like, no, it's my building. Those are my tenants. You're my vendor. I own that network and I own the data.
Yeah.
Like, I will pay you, Mr. Vendor, and I need you, but the core assets are mine is the strategy we're trying to go with. And our clients are just having huge success with that strategy.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So your annual, that maybe a little bit related to that, then your annual survey revealed a tech disconnect between IT and executive leadership in commercial real estate. Kind of maybe what you said here. Then do you think then that AI driven dashboards and insights could help in bridging that gap and aligning property operations with business KPIs?
Yeah, we're a big believer in what are your KPIs. I'm a big believer in dashboards aren't the answer. I don't have the time or the knowledge to review every piece of data that's available within our own company. Like, some dashboards are great, but am I going to look at it all the time? No, I'm going to come from the mindset of, let's put some reins on this and get alarmed when it's out of control. Like, let somebody else being one of my electronic or digital tools that we can deploy, right? Whether that's AI or just monitoring. Like, we have network monitoring systems everywhere. We set limits. We don't log on just to see how many devices are acting right. We just want to know which ones aren't. Like, okay, and then what do you do? Can it be automated, or does a person have to handle it? So more than a dashboard, I think data readiness and predictive analytics go
Okay.
with the basis of the data. It's the value of the data. Like, a dashboard is just a visual display of the data.
Visual display. Exactly. Right.
But how do you want to sit there, Scott, all day when you
Yeah.
should be strategizing for your company? But as an executive, do you want to sit there all day and look at a dashboard? You might pay an operator to do it, but is it the best use of the company's funds to do that when you can program a bot to do that?
Yeah.
And then
Sure.
that person
That's
could
what
be out doing
yeah.
strategic growth activities
Right.
and handling the bot whenever it screams at them, instead of looking at a dashboard all day.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah.
are uses of data. We can do either one. Sometimes we do both. Like, it depends on what the client desires.
Okay. Yeah. And it's how you then leverage that data, and then to help then go make money, right? Or optimize and keep costs down, obviously. But then how can you then use that as a tool then to drive more revenue for your
Well,
for your customers?
we believe digital infrastructure is not an expense. It's an investment with a
It's an
known
investment,
ROI.
yes.
But
Right.
our services are the same. If we are ever an expense to a client, we should be gone. We generate income for our client. Otherwise, we shouldn't be in the equation. Like, and our contract says so. Like, we're not obligated to work with us long term if we're not showing value. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to hold somebody's ransom because they sign a contract in the beginning. Like, you don't have to pay us just because. We need to be providing value all the time. And that's a partnership. Like, if you, Mr. Client, don't share new ideas or new desires or new visions about what you want to do with your company, then we're not going to have as many things to work on, right? Unless it breaks. And we make things that don't break. We make things that operate really well. So let us work on new stuff with you. That's where all the energy is. That's where the differentiation is. That's where the true fun is. You get to create with technology. That's where the fun is to us. Find a better way is one of our core values.
Find a better way. Yeah, I like that. In terms of the growth that you've seen over the last, you've been there 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what you've gone through the COVID years, you've gone through the remote work right years as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, I'm sure certainly that's been a challenge, but that's where you've also that's been an inflection point as well that made you then find that better way. Could you maybe elaborate on that and maybe how how we've kind of come through COVID, back to work, leveraging again digital infrastructure, how that's going to then make it even more attractive for people to quote return back to work?
Sure. The first year of COVID, we had a 40% growth year. Um, Clients, we call a client the property owner or portfolio owner.
Mhm.
They were investing thinking that COVID was going to be short, like we all did in the beginning, right? I'm not saying it was a bad guess, but that's what we were being told.
Right. Sure.
And then it went long. So the second year of COVID, I think our growth was only 18%, right? Because it's capital is becoming more expensive. People still aren't going back to work. A lot of apartments weren't being built. There's a demand for apartments, but there's not a lot of retrofits going on. It's basically deal with what I have. I don't have any CapEx budget. Interest rates are going up. So we have primarily our portfolio is office buildings and apartment buildings. So I saw the apartment buildings shift and apartments were being dropped. I mean, offices were being dropped as far as valuation goes and occupancy. We didn't lose any clients. We saw them become a lot less occupied. And in doing so, the revenues are variable based upon occupancy. So about, I don't know, 9 months ago, we saw buildings traded for 8 to 12 cents on a dollar, office buildings. And that was patient capital buying these buildings and waiting for them to grow. And now that they're half leased, those buildings are incredibly valuable, especially during the cost. Apartment buildings are still on a steady growth. We're seeing more apartment buildings invest CapEx when they're traded or when they're trying to improve from maybe a B plus to an A minus or an A minus to an A. They will invest in some digital infrastructure. But office buildings, we're seeing the demand go very, very high because say it's a 300,000 square foot office building. It used to have 12 tenants, 15 tenants. Still a 300,000 square foot office building. Now they're going to have 20 to 25 tenants. Because of hybrid work, the tenants that stayed are downsizing, and the new ones are going to put the same number of bodies in the space, but those bodies are only there 3 to 4 days a week. So they could downsize instead of a whole floor plate. Maybe they're taking 3/4 or 2/3. So we're seeing clients have to deal with more tenants, and we're seeing tenants being very flexible on growth. Like if they're going to grow out of this space, they'll put it up on the other floor and not care. It doesn't have to be right next to it because the technology allows them to feel like they're the same.
Yeah, there you go.
They can work from anywhere in this property and still be connected to their employer's firewall and directory services. And behind all of their rules that the CISO makes. Anywhere on the property, they're behind the CI. There's no VPN needed. So when you can give a 5S user experience around that, you attract a very technically astute tenant that's willing to pay more and stay longer. So we are seeing office demand much higher, but we're seeing apartment buildings talk more about reducing operating expenses because insurance and utilities have gone up drastically in the past 3 years. Like it's not uncommon to get 20% insurance hikes 2 or 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
So with the right data, you can limit those hikes instead of 10% or 12% or as much as 20. As we've seen, you can keep it down to 1 or 2 by displaying data to the underwriter. Like this is what I know. This is what I track. This is if I'm going to have a flood or if I'm going to have an issue, I'm going to know it early and your exposure is limited and this is why. So it's that argument. And utilities is just about expense management. Like lighting control systems, sub-metering for gas and water, and even power in some instances based upon, not in residential environments, but office environments. If you have a dentist office in the same place as a 24/7 customer service outfit, they shouldn't pay the same CAMs, right? So I can attract the dentist office now because they don't have to pay the full 24-hour CAM. I can sub-meter it and I can apply those charges in the accurate charges because CAMs are passed through anyway. You just want to apply them to the tenant consuming that portion of it. So we're seeing a lot more use of data to make a very fair lease for both extremes of tenants. So office buildings are definitely coming back. The return to office mandate from the Fortune 100, Fortune 1000 started about a year ago. We're seeing it roll down to nearly every company. Are they going back to full 40? No. Most of the time we're seeing 3 to 4 days a week, a hybrid. And that's it seems like a nice solution for everybody.
That's a good opportunity for you. Yeah, it's a good opportunity for you to really showcase the capabilities of OpticWise, right? To have that deeper automation, whether it's, sub-metering, right? And really charging people for what they consume rather than it's just a blanket, everybody pays the same, right? Really, you're paying for what you use. Are you using, is that kind of AI driven or is that just something that's already been cooked into what your capabilities are? Are you going to continue to have, more tenant focused smart experiences? It seems like that's continued to grow Is that where kind of part of what your mission is, that while you're also preserving that reliability and security for your tenants?
Well, think about AI as more predictive looking forward, taking apart the actual utility use. That's a reactive, and just that's math. That's just data in,
Yeah.
data out. Can you apply AI on it to make it easier? Sure, you could, but just how many, whatever am I measuring, water, power, gas, how many of units did this tenant use? It's
Mhm.
straightforward. So think about looking forward. Absolutely. It's all about what's the tenant experience? Like, and how could I reduce my operating expenses if I own that building? I'm not talking about people. I need the people. How
Mhm.
could I
Yeah.
reduce my utilities? How could I reduce what I'm paying to run all these networks? We see it. We've seen some buildings have 15 networks. It's
Mhm.
absurd. Like,
That is,
why
yeah.
why isn't there just one
Hard
with a
to-
backup, or one redundant, like, or maybe two, because this access control system's on a proprietary network for the door strikes, maybe you can't make that a typical cat 6 low voltage network, but everything else should be on one. Imagine how much you could reduce your OpEx, and then have a company monitor and manage that for you instead of your building engineers and your property managers. And you get a partner that anybody could call and get 24/7 service.
Mhm.
So bundle that together, and any client of OpticWise gets the right to use the software and the trademarks. So brand it to the property. We don't want to be known as powered by OpticWise. Sure, that's on there, but on request, but it should be your property's 5S experience, your property's elastic ISP connectivity, your property's TPO services. And if you
Mhm.
need to talk to an engineer, let me introduce you to our technology partner, OpticWise. So brand it to your property and make your property stand out. That's the user experience we're talking about. You can monetize that via rents, via optional charges, via all kinds of things. We see a myriad of strategies. Our clients are
Mhm.
very creative.
That's great. Well, you
Yeah.
certainly have helped them be a creative as well. Well, Bill, this has been very enlightening. You've shown how vision-driven leadership, IoT first architecture, a relentless focus on real outcomes. Trying to help commercial real estate owners not just keep costs down, but also use data as a way to then make money, right? Not just save money. You talked about data-driven infrastructure elevates buildings into more of a strategic, high-value asset, right? Aligning the tech execution with net operating income performance that creates lasting value to help enhance the tenant experience. Towards the end, there you talked about the branding, right? What is it that you can help your commercial real estate owners really elevate their brand, their value that they can then offer to their tenants, right? So it's been very, very helpful. Any other parting thoughts or points that you would like to share?
I believe life's a gift. So be careful not to work too much, no matter what you do.
Oh, great.
Be effective and productive, but allow yourself time to play and heal and be away from work. Like, work should augment your life. In my opinion, it shouldn't be your whole life. So I'm pretty passionate about that because I've had a couple near death experiences and I have some medical challenges, and life's precious. Soak it up, share it with others.
That's a very important perspective when you've had a couple of life threatening experiences. So we'll have to talk about that next time for sure.
It's
You know,
Yeah,
you,
I've
you
had an
leverage,
interesting life, and I love it
yeah,
even more every day.
yeah, every day. We should. Each
Yeah.
day is certainly a gift for sure. Well, thank you very much. Well, for people then to learn more about OpticWise or connect with you and your team, where can they find you?
OpticWise.com. That's spelled OpticWise.com is the website. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Bill resilience guy, Douglas, out there. I do respond to all the messages. And reach out any way you want. I'd be happy to help. It doesn't have to turn into an engagement. Most of what we do is consultative for free.
Hmm.
And then over time, they turn into clients if we can help. But I always try to help people because the industry needs to get better about technology,
Hmm.
and we have to collaborate for that. So in giving, I also learn. I get a lot back. So I have no problem consulting for free.
Well, thank you very much. You have that attitude of helping others and giving back, and thank you very much. So, if you've enjoyed this episodes, please subscribe, rate, and share. I'm Scott Hurst, and this has been Growth and Innovation Unlocked. Until next time.